They must have the slowest horses ever pulling this bleeding wagon, mustn't they? She ain't going to go past here like past 2. If it's, surely the horses will bump into her on the way down to the post. Yeah, no, I'm just here. Look at you. Liney, what tasty women here. Don't you ugly men. All you ugly men, get out of the way.
Hello, we're back. Yes, the Vase Stewards not down and out for long. The Friday shows may have gone, but the festival previews certainly haven't. And we've got 3 festival previews for you this week. One on Monday, one on Wednesday, and one on Friday, out at the usual time that you used to get the Friday show. So there's plenty to look forward to this week from the Vase Stewards. And we've got different panel members on each evening. And joining me this evening to cover Tuesday and Wednesday at Royal Ascot is Andy Richmond and John Lang. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone.
We're going to make this quite easy to do, really. So if you remember the old Friday shows, we used to stake the bets where it was 1, 2 and 3 points. We're not going to do that in a bets round anymore. We're just going to preview the races, all the Ascot races, and then we're going to mention our best bets maybe at the end. And obviously, we can cover more that way, going through the races and horses with chances. And we'll touch on things then that might point you in the way of what you thought yourself and sort of back up your confidence. That's sort of direction we want to travel in. Right, without further ado then, very exciting. 22 degrees today at Ascot. It's going to probably ride quick. He has watered today, but I don't think that will make much difference, which will please the Yankees with their speedballs. They certainly don't want any puddingy ground, and I don't think it will be looking at the stick today and with the warm temperatures. So, chaps, first of all, then, we come on to the Queen Anne over the straight mile. And Factor Cheval is current market leader. Well, it's sort of tight between him and Sharon. So let's go Factor Cheval first. What are we thinking about Factor Cheval's chances?
I think in what you'd class as an up-to-scratch Lockings, I don't think I'd be fancying him much, to be honest. I don't necessarily think this is an up-to-scratch Lockings.
Queen Anne, you mean? Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to Lockings with a lot of the form coming into this, like Sharon, Audience, so on and so forth.
Well, you've got 8 from that race coming from the Lockings, John.
Yeah, I mean, that race was iffy as fuck, wasn't it, really? As I say, I don't think Factor Cheval's overall form makes you think, wow, that's a Queen Anne winner in waiting.
Nope.
I did think at the 5-day stage this was ripe for a bit of a boil over. I was fancying back in the shirts house, but I missed the price. Maljohn.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice prep on reappearance.
I thought that was all right. Having missed 11 to 1, I don't know whether I want 13 to 2.
No, it's kind of off-putting, isn't it? Sort of prices at the moment.
It's took the gloss rate off.
It has. There still is the odd 10s floating about, John. And I suppose you'd probably play, wouldn't you, if you could get that 10s?
Yeah.
But like you said, as short as 13 to 2, 7 in places, it's probably a no-go. It was a nice prep. I think this horse, from its 3-year-old, when it won the German Guineas around a track that didn't suit, doing everything wrong, it was very unlucky in the St James's Palace behind Pinatubo, would definitely have won the race with anything like a run. So that in itself brings like high-level form if it's at that level at this moment in time after its obvious issues that it's had. But yeah, I agree with you, John. You'd need 10s to find out. Getting to 13 to 2, 6, it starts to get a bit lukewarm. Charon's a good horse. I'm not going to knock him, but this will be the quickest ground he's probably ever raced on.
I think Big Rock and Audience and Royal Scotsman will probably knock spots off each other early on.
Yep.
Which again will play into Maljohn's hands, because I think he'll get a quiet one.
Yeah.
The other one that I think might be ridden to suit is Docklands, actually. But
yeah, I know.
No.
No, Turner.
No.
John, I get where you're coming from. Docklands wouldn't surprise me if it won. Royal Scotsman.
You're turning ITV off quick if Docklands wins.
Probably. I'll be turning it off anyway, to be honest.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Royal Scotsman for me, I did have an easy-ish time at Epsom, but the one thing that the trainer did say afterwards, they've said no more dropping him out of the telly now. However, it's going to be a lot more difficult, Andy, isn't it, to make all in the Queen Anne?
I mean, John's touched on some of the pace. You've got Audience, Big Rock, Brave Emperor, High Royale, Poker Face, of all front run before. if you throw in that Big Rock on the ground, we would have a question mark about.
And the trainer downgrade. It's a sizable downgrade, really.
It is, isn't it? It was a very strange move, that. And then you've got Charon, who John's touched on. I mean, if you look at he's all right at group, but if you look at his Group 1 runs, he's finished 8th, 4th, 3rd, 8th, 3rd and 2nd. He's a sort of, is he going to be one of those sort of nearly horses? Do you want to back him at, around 7-2, 4-1?
Not on this ground, no.
Not on this ground, really. And that's where I kept John makes a good case for Maljum. I can see that, but I wouldn't want to take it at a price. Factor Cheval has got a good record at a mile, and a good record at Group 1s as well. 3-2, 3-2-1 he is. He'd had the race run to suit, and the first 4 in the betting has been a positive for this. It's sort of one of those I'm not sure I want to back him at 4.8, 4.9, 4-1 now, but he looks a sort of obvious one to me, and I keep coming back to it and thinking, is he going to be one of those? Are we just going to have one of those races where you sort of, after the event, if he goes and wins, you're thinking, well, that was bleeding obvious, wouldn't it?
I don't think any of us, just listening to you and John, got anything remotely solid.
It's hunch bets, but I mean, I'll give you one here that just could improve beyond all reasonable expectations. And that's the Sione gelding Dolaye of the Handicap.
Yeah.
If you believe the French going reports, this has never had its ground yet.
You could get something like that.
It's already coming here with a rate and a 116.
I don't know how they've got to that, though, because I looked at the French form and I don't think it's worthy
but
of that.
You can add in the fact that Barcelona's going to sit Chile, isn't he? He's been doing a lot of his wins over 9.5, so he's going to be strong at the end with all this pace on.
Yeah,
I think anything like 20 plus is a bit silly about that one.
I'll tell you what, if that does run well, Dolali, then you want to look at that form from the pre-Dispahan last time out, which is a Group 1. There's 2 in that are running in the Prince of Wales's, Horizon Door and Blue Rose Sen. If this runs well, that's a pretty decent pointer to those. And that Prince of Wales's, which we'll come on to later, is fairly open as well.
Interesting form line there to follow then for future reference, says Andy. We'll move on. I don't think we've got anything solid in that. Between the 305 is the Coventry Group 2 status for the Coventry Stakes, 5-1 Coward of the County, but that's sort of only in about 3 places as we record. This was very, very impressive in beating what is, I can tell you with certainty, Coolmore's best 2-year-old at this stage in Whistle Jacket when it absolutely whizzed past that. It was very, very impressive, and it is the right favourite. Whether the draw plays a part here, I'm not too sure on this, whether I'd want to be in Trap 11, which is more or less smack in the middle. I don't know if that's the place to be.
Follow the carriages.
Well, the thing is that we talked about wagon form off air, and we said it mainly plays out on sort of softer ground because obviously it makes the tracks. Whereas as long as you haven't gone bananas, and there's no guarantees with these Clarks, you can be disappointed many a time by them. They shouldn't be making too much of an imprint, even for these fat lords, John, in these carriages down the tracks.
Well, I say there's 23 stone there from whichever one Harry Herbert's in.
While we're on the Coward of the County, are we, and this, I'll just float this up as an idea, well, as a stat, are we not worried about the Baby Joseph's form? The last month, you look at his runners, he had 4 at Gowran Park this afternoon, but I don't think they were particularly short. I haven't had a chance to check. But prior to that this afternoon, in the last month, with his horses that have started in single figures, he's 5 from 57, which is a winner's below expected figure, well, above expected figure of minus 7.27. Yeah. And if you look back at all these runners, you're about 38 points down. And even if you go back in and look at the ones that are, if you add all his runners in, he's 5 winners from 78.
No, it's a concern, but there's one clever man here called Jonas Leng that out of them 5 winners, Leng's back one of them and had a good bet on it. Leinster and Royal Ascot. Yeah, you had a good perk at that, and that's it. Johnny is the master of the Baby Joseph.
I'll just say at this point, vote for John Joe.
Yes, hashtag vote John Joe on the SBC Awards, of course. Get him on a pedestal. He deserves it. Stuffed. Coward of the County is one of my bets. I agree with Andy, though. The stable form is a concern. I did like the actor. I think he's one of them that is a 2-year-old. This is it now.
Yeah.
I don't like him next year, but I think this is his derby, if you know what I mean. So I did like him, but I am very much of the Coward of the County fan. Jack has put this up on Bar Steward's Patreon as an first bet 8-1, I believe. So best of luck to him. John, your thoughts on this race?
You were saying like horses for next year. I'm not big on any of these for next year, to be honest.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of fairly set types and that aren't going to find an awful lot for a winter under the belts sort of thing. One that I think has got a bit of scope to improve is the Richard Spencer horse, Yarmore Bay there, but that's been absolutely shellacked in the betting. 8-1 now on Sportsbook. I mean, for a runner-up in the York Maiden, albeit a good maiden, the first's been out and won since. I think he's about 4 points underpriced now. You know?
What I would suggest to listeners, because the bookies have got this off to a craft now of shortening things up too much, and because of the racing this week is so competitive, and it is like the cards Tuesday and Wednesday are so competitive that if you've got a Betfair exchange account, you're better off waiting for the Betfair shows. Unless you know something is completely wrong in price, then you just wait until the Betfair shows, and I'll guarantee you that most of the time, one of your fancies will be massively bigger than what it was this morning, or etc. So, Andy, just to finish off the Coventry, then Coward of the County is one of my bets, but I will come.
I've just had a quick look. I know why Maljum's so short now, because our friend Mr. Taylor's put it up.
Huged.
Yeah, you've been huged if you fancy that. And I've been huged here because I did quite fancy Andersight with Mr. Tudhope on board, following in there's a good stat in here that horses unbeaten, preferably one run, one win, do pretty well in this. And there's two. There's more than that, but the two that I quite like were Andersight and Catalyze. A race I wouldn't be going mad about, to be honest with you. It's 2-year-olds. I don't generally bet them. Camille Passaro for Aidan. I mean, he has won the race 10 times. You would want to look at. The negative for me with anything that's been beaten last time out and outside the front five in the betting has not been done particularly well. But again, it's a bit like the first race. There's nothing. I did quite like Andersight, but I've been huged. Although they do bounce back, so.
Andersight was incredibly tough on debut, and it's so rare to see a debutant that looks beat and then fights back like a Trojan to get up, and that's worth length in itself. If anyone fancies Andersight tomorrow, this will probably fight like a lion if you're there in the final furlong. So I wouldn't want to try and out-battle that if it's there in the last half furlong. Okay, we'll move on. 3:45 race is the King Charles III Stakes. Used to be the King's Stand, of course.
It should be registered as a sausage fingers stake.
Yeah, it should be, really. Us Republicans.
You were talking about trainer downgrades earlier on. I mean, we've like had a sort of Queen downgrade, haven't we, really? I mean, we could have had Princess Diana, and now we've got the old brass.
Well, this is it. When the Queen was alive, because of what she were in racing, and a mother to a degree, I was like quite supportive. But I can't take to
these two are going to be all over racing, though, because it's the only place that can go where there isn't them yellow signs saying "Not my king."
Yeah, or don't sing national anthem.
Yeah.
So we'll see Chariot form tomorrow, of course. No betting on the Queen's hat tomorrow because she's the Queen. Right, the 3:45. Yes, Big Evs leads the way. 3-year-old, of course, taking older horses. Not impossible to do. Bradsill did it last year, so it's not an issue if you are certainly capable of defying the weight for age scale, which isn't entirely favourable at this time of year, like the old stayers. But nevertheless, Big Evs has got it in spades, and he showed what he can do speed-wise, etc. The negatives for me, and then I'll come to you two for what you think are. I wasn't impressed by the Australian horse Asphora. I thought that was disappointing at Haydock what that found off the bit. I don't care if it was short. I don't know. It just didn't impress me. I thought that's not good enough to win at Royal Ascot, and that's third.
Not soft ground an excuse, Lee?
You could say that because the Aussie soft ground isn't our soft ground, as we know. So it has won on Aussie soft ground, but their soft ground is probably like good to firm. Yeah. So these days, yeah. Maybe, John, that's a point. Yeah, I'll take your point on board. My major negative, and I'm prepared to have egg on my face, is believing. How on earth is that price at that price? right? The reason it won at Haydock, as was highlighted on was it our last show? I think last
Yeah, I
show.
think you did, yeah.
And it was the headwind. The only reason that came through at the end like it did, it had the dream like cyclist Tour de France. It had the absolute draw into the race as the pace collapsed, and it just went through and won. And it's priced up on that. All right, if it wins, you can all give me stick, and I agree, do it. But how on earth can that be priced fourth in on that when you know for a fact that if that had been a tailwind that day, it wouldn't have got anywhere near winning? There you go. That's your answer. So why are you taking 15 or 2, 7 or 1? It should be double that, maybe more. Yeah, believing. And draw on the wing. It could be good. It could be good, the low. It might not be. All them variables to take, 17 to 2 at best. So rubbish. Absolute terrible bet. Believing for me at that price. So that's my big opinion on the race. If there is money for believing, I will take her on in the place market on the day, on the machine. So I'll come to you, John and Andy, for your thoughts on this.
Well, it's a really quick dint because I'll be straight in the bar while this is on. I don't like the look of this one fucking bit, in all honesty. I think as regards Group 1 5 furlong horses, I think we've got a very, very thin bunch. For me, it's the one that gets the best ride, wins 9 times out of 10 at the minute in these sprints, and I'm not prepared to be guessing up on these when there's better races to have a pop at.
That's a fair point. Andy?
There's sort of 1.5 for a very, very modest play, because it'd be one of those where you're not kicking the dog, but you know what I mean, because I wouldn't do that. But not Kurt Zuma. I know that was a cat, wasn't it? But I did quite like the look of Rogue Lightning. The horse was really unlucky in the Abbey last year after improving for most of the year. 6 of 9 was a bit of a float up last time out behind Kurdos in that Temple Stakes. Can start a bit slowly, so the quicker they go. I like James Doyle as a jockey. Double figure price is probably too big. And another horse I just think is a bit neglected sometimes is Twilight Calls. I've never won outside a handicap company, but I did think it's just slightly overpriced. He was second to Nature Strip in his 2 seasons ago, and he wasn't far behind Bradsell last year when he was really unlucky. I thought the run last time out was a bit unlucky. I was probably flying a bit of a kite, and I probably wanted a bigger price. I thought he might be sort of around sort of 20s, and you can have a bit of a poke at that. He might drift. Those would be 2 modest pokes against the field. But like John, I think these, for a Group 1 sprint, it's as, it's a pretty thin old race, isn't it?
How is Valiant Force, that was half a length second to Big Evs in America, 16 to 1? That seems rather strange.
Is it trained by an idiot? No. Is it still trained by an idiot?
It's the same
Have
one.
They moved it?
No, they haven't moved anywhere. It's the same
right.
one. Raphael Frere was training them at Dominic French Davis. He just didn't have his license. Now his license has come through. So that's why he's got the trainer name. Everyone thinks they've moved about. No, it's the same place.
But this one's in Ireland, isn't it?
This is Adrian Murray, obviously. Wrong sort of topic.
But you're right about the Dominic French Davis one, yeah.
Yeah. He was just the front man. He's the guy that wines and dines people at the race while the Brazilians do all the training. That's how it works. So Valiant Force was half a length second, and it was lucky because it was drawn wide and it was held up, and it had the widest strip, come mowing down late, only just failed to get there. So if you fancy Big Evs, you say, Big Evs is a good thing at 4 to 1. Sorry, you got to look at this at 16s. I'm not saying he's in the same form now or has got the same juice in him, whatever they're doing, but it's one of them. If someone forced me to have a bet, that would be it. Again, with probably nothing strong there. 4:25 race, the St James's Palace. Notable speech is 6 to 5 Jolly. Heavily backed, probably rightly so, but to this price and this difference with Rosalian, I watched the Guineas back a couple of times actually, and I did feel that Rosalian was closing at him at the line stronger than I initially thought. I was thinking, Jersey for Rosalian. He was strong at the line at the Curragh Rosalian. Henry Longfellow did not have a good ride in the French Guineas, and Ryan Moore even admitted that, which is very unusual for Ryan to come out and said, it's my fault, this, that, and the other. One at a price I felt was El Macwam of Ed Walker's. That was very impressive at Sandown. What we saw off the front end, off a soft pace though, I know people will say, well, it was front end, soft pace, softer ground, there's a lot of issues. But the way he powered clear in that, and physically the stamp of it, I think at a price, that's where I'm looking at 25s plus. I come to you, John and Andy, for your thoughts on that.
I might lay the fouls
Yeah.
because I think this might be a mess.
Mm.
I can see the Aiden horses being on the front end with Unquestionable on the rail and Ryan perched just on his shoulder, length down.
Yeah.
That in itself will mean any older horses, that's your Rasalian and Notable Speech, for example, they're going to have to come wide. Rasalian's 6-1 to get a run for me, out the one box. If these are going steady, which I think they will, because they're not going to get pressed. Notable Speech is going to have to go around the hugely promising Almaquam and then overall the two Aiden ones before you even think about winning. I think you're a real stiff task tomorrow. I mean, we established before the Derby that they were probably doing 3 furlong fractions in the Guineas early on. We decided that's what got City of Troy beat. Notable Speech kept out of all that. This is going to be the antithesis of that race. Why would you take 6 to 5?
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. Really, what you've said. I think again, it's like everything else we've seen. We've seen some ridiculous sectionals with Notable Speech in his short career so far, in terms of like springing on the scene late. No one would have imagined him running in the Guineas after he's running the Winter at Kempton. No one would have even thought that this is going to be the 2000 Guineas winner. Andy, with that in mind, what's your thoughts on this?
That's very interesting thoughts from John, and I could see them trying to, lock up Rosalian, who I thought was quite impressive in a way in Ireland. Yeah, I could see Henry Longfellow definitely getting the run of this, almost wanting to play a little bit of each way thievery here. You could get 9 to 2 or something like that. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the 3 because he's going to get the run of the race, isn't he?
Yeah,
and that's where I would be with him.
Buick won't think he's got a headache because they're always thick and they think the same tactics apply everywhere. He'll sleep soundly tonight. But Levy won't because he knows he's drawn 1. He knows that's a bit of aggravation at Ascot on the round track, unless you're making it. So
good points. Could be in trouble there, Rosalian, like you say. Like you're having to go back to get settled. Like Maljoom, it was the same thing in the St James's Palace for Maljoom, where he just couldn't get any daylight. He was just trapped for room, going back from that inside position.
Do you think it should be on the straight course this way?
I'm sick of that mile round course, to be honest. I think it's unfair. It's not a Group 1 test. Probably the same for courses like Chantilly, and there's some real bad draw biases, like in France, where it's like, why are you running classics where if you're drawn like in 12 or 13, you might as well just...
I think if they put a rail in, that maybe throw them into the middle or something. But
yeah, so coming into it straight, you sort of like make sure that they have to come wide so everyone gets a run. Yeah,
it's a short straight, isn't it?
And with a quick ground as well, they're not going to stop. Yeah. It's not stopping ground tomorrow, so it's one of them. Anything sort of held up like Rosalian, you're going to rely on a run, and if he gets a bad run, Rosalian can't get a run. Like you're going to blame Sean Levy, but it is what it is. Beforehand what you're doing. Inside draw held up, not ideal. Nothing sort of solid from us, Andy, on that. Would you agree?
Not really. I'd say the way John has described the race and sort of, you always got to try and draw a picture in your head of tactics, is you could just see that happening with the O'Brien Unquestionable going on, just trying to drop in Henry Longfellow in behind him, and they can almost try and lock up Rosalian on the inside, and Notable Speech has got to come round them because they'll hold him up again and not want to get into it. And you know what it's like when you quicken off that bend, it's hard to make up the ground sometimes. And Henry Longfellow, I think he's much better than that 8th last time out, isn't he? He is.
Like you said, Andy, that's where we're getting the value on
the prices. I think at the prices and the way the race is going to be run, if it is run that way, looking at the way prices move when you've got that sort of pace set up, I would be very, very surprised if you didn't at least get a trade out of Henry Longfellow if you wanted to enter the market around 5.96, something like that.
Good stuff. Okay, we move on. Next race is, of course, the Ascot Stakes.
Get some hurdles up.
Yeah. The Ascot Stakes. Davis loves this kind of race.
He does,
He gets excited, really excited. He's done a column today. He really thinks that the Irish, again, will have the final say. And I can't really argue with this, because if you watch the Chester Cup back, Zanderbad was ridiculously unlucky in the Chester Cup. It would have won, if put it this way, if the Chester Cup would be another 2.5 furlongs, it would have won by about 14 lengths. And I just think, it's no price. The price is pathetic. I can't advise a bet on that at all. I know where Davis is coming from with the...
It's one of those that you can't back, but you can't lay it, can you?
No.
I know that sounds a bit contradictory, but you just can't do it, can you? It's just like...
No, this really should win, given everything, the run of the race, everything else. John, are you rowing in with that?
I would expect Sanderbad to win. I'm not backing.
No.
The price tend to make it between that one and Willie Mullins' horse. I take the Ryan Mower view, actually. This horse looks shit, but the trainer knows what he's doing.
Well, that's it. You know what carrots are in. This is it.
You know, I don't see any point giving myself a headache spending 3 hours on this race and whatever. You know, I mean,
they need to run this race at Gowran Park, don't they? Really?
Well, the market's telling you where we're at, isn't it? And,
just save on travel and diesel, global warming, all that, climate change.
There are, what is it? We got 8. I see 8. Is there 8 Irish runners? I think there are. I think there's 8 Irish runners in this.
Yeah.
The only slight problem, and I know it sounds strange to say this over a 2.5 mile trip, but the lower drawn runners have been a positive, which is fine for Zanderbad, might just give my a little bit of a problem. And 20 of the last 21 run-ins of this, 20 have won a flat handicap prior to this, which my hasn't. But then you've got the Mullins factor to to put in there. Pied Piper, yeah, you could see that. If there was one that I'm just going to have, if there's extended places, and if I can get a bet on with any bookmaker anymore, which is never easy these days, I did think that one of my favourite mares in training, Divine Comedy, absolutely gagged up at Haydock last time out. I like the kid on board, Kaya Fraser. He gets on really well with her. She looks as though that the further she goes, the better she goes, cliche time, but a double figure price with extended places, she might just nick you a few, bit of place money. That was the only one out of all the others.
Yeah,
all the others, you look at them and you think, Christ, they've been round the block a few times. There's nothing really, there's not anything ahead of its mark or anything really, is there?
The only thing that annoyed me with her, like winning that race last time, you've just got up £9 for this, and you could have run it this, and you'd have got in without having to win. Fancied her for her life. But
when you look through the ones that, are there any other possible improvers in there out of the GB contingent? And you'd probably have to say no.
No, I agree. Right.
I think I'd be surprised if Zanderbad don't.
Move on to the Wolferton. Again, the advice still stands to all punters listening that you don't take bookmaker prices at this time of night. 7-2 to Rita, which is my idea of the probable winner. That's just terrible. Israel's drifted to 7-2. He's soft as shit, as John Lang will ascertain. Botanical is weak in the market. This will definitely be the quickest ground that Botanical's raced on.
Don't like the draw for that either.
Yeah.
The wide draw. Don't like the wide draw.
No, not at the 10. Then we come to Astro Kinghorn's a Dream. The one for the season for me is Ancient Rome. Not maybe tomorrow's race, because the idiots, obviously trained by an idiot, and they managed to get the penalty for this, which if you'd have thought, well, maybe coming here without a penalty, Ancient Rome, I think as an entire still, he'll step forward again this season. Some strong form last season, really strong form. And I think he'd be up there, but for that penalty, 16-1. Makes a little bit of appeal, but nothing that I'm getting excited about. John, thoughts?
I think Astro King will have this run to South. I don't think he's necessarily had a race run to South this year for old Manson lamps.
The producer's laughing at this. Manson lamps, yes. The eyes. Look into the eyes. Don't look around the eyes. You're under.
The race is at Newmarket. I think he's got caught a bit flat-footed, but I think we're looking at a nice even pace here with Saman in the race. I quite like the drawing 12 as well, because I think it'll just naturally give King's Cut a good sit every 3 parts of the way back, which I think will be about ideal. The ground's going to be perfect for him. I just think he's a proper hard case of horse now at 7 years old, and he's benefiting from the quiet grounding he had at Freemason Lodge. These are probably the right people to eke a few more pound out of him.
Yeah,
I think
strength
fair
for
value
strength.
at 12,
Fair
12
enough.
plus. I think he's an each way bet.
Yeah, Andy.
The one thing I would say, there's not a whole heap of pace on in this. It's there's really only Semhan who really is what I would call a real front runner. It could end up a bit. I just worry this trip. This trip worries me that it can end up a bit of a mess. Torito I liked, and Gosden, well, whoever's doing the training at Gosden's now, if it was the old man, if they have got a good record, if they won 3 of them.
I think it's Matt Hancock.
Well, he could be next chair of the BHA or CEO. God knows what's going on there. Jesus Christ! But they did win. Johnny G on his own won 3 Wolfertons when it was run as a handicap, and he won the first one when it was run as a non-handicap. So, as you mentioned, Lee, Torito, I think he's got a good chance. But would I want to back him at that price? No, thank you very much. The vaguely interesting one in another race where I'm not hugely wanted to get involved is Haunted Dream. I thought he ran a really good race last time out when he nearly put, was it James Doyle on him last time out?
Yeah.
Nearly put him over his head. How he stayed on, I've got no idea. And Sumion Takes the Ride would be one to have a bit of a dart at, but I'm not, again, I think you can tell I'm not, it's not a race I'm dashing to the windows to have a bet on, to be quite honest with you.
Again, it's another race where I can feel the gin and pate all day here tomorrow, but I'm on a non-drinking day tomorrow. So
Right.
yes, that's me gassed, absolutely gassed. Right, we move on to the finale, which
that'll be about 8 baguettes and £3 a pate then, Ron, if you can have a drink.
I do eat more when I don't drink. It's true. 6:15. Oh, look at this. They're right. I like the books. Please, you must listen to advice. Do not bet with bookmakers overnight at Royal Ascot. They're repeating what they do on maidens and handicaps everywhere else in the country. They shorten them massively. Like Bellocchio at 4-1, I'd be happy to play at 5.0. If that's on the machine on the day, Bellocchio is my best bet of Tuesday. I'm not saying it's a great bet. I'm just saying that's where I want to go. It's typical Mullins plot, this. Right, so they've got it from Sergeant Wilson, and it was racing off 107, 108. You know for a fact it's a very good horse, and Mullins has got the juice. It pissed up in an hurdle race. That tells punters nothing, does it? Only that it's got 4 wheels. It has got 4 wheels. That's official, because you can't jump 8 hurdles and win on Billy Idol if you haven't got 4 wheels. So it has. That's one answer. So answer number 2 is right. Is this well handicapped? Yes, of course it is. He's off 100. 107, 108 for Sergeant Wilson. Yes, it's an absolute bloody good bet. But of course, look at the prices now: 3-1, 100 to a big sea of blue. It's bollocks. Ignore these overnight markets. They're absolute shit. They are.
I agree with you.
So anyway, Bellocchio, I'm all Bellocchio. I'm hoping that we can get some 5.1, 5.2 on the machine on the shows, and that's where I'm at. If we don't, then it's more pate. John?
Keep it brief. I'm also Bellocchio. I think he's got about £10 in hand.
Yeah, I'd agree. With a juice, man. So, he's better than Sarge. Sorry, Sarge, but you ain't got his carrots. Andy?
Can I make that a 3-hander then? Because,
yeah.
If you think what he did this last year, he won it with Volban off, 101 last year.
Yeah.
And had the second in absurd as well. So I would say that if probably nobody is betting anti-post for the Ebor, but this was a good Ebor trial last year because, as we know, absurd went and pissed up in the Ebor. If you could get a price on it for the Ebor as well, then you might be worth taking.
Yeah, that's good.
If that was the plan. I mean, obviously it's anti-post. So I don't really know.
You could win this half a length for 3/4 of a length, getting up late or whatever you're doing, and go up 6, and then you're 106 for Ebor, which is perfect.
Yeah. So there's the suggestion. A Piece of Heaven, I suppose, is interesting, but I've got that question mark about the stable form. Fox Journey ran okay last time out. None of the others you could say are well handicapped. I suppose if there was one other interesting one that might run into the frame, although the mark is a bit stiff, is Party Central, who's never had that much never run that much on the flat, but has some very, very decent hurdling form. Apart from that, I would be very surprised if Bellocchio didn't go really close here. But as you say, the price is shit at the moment. You've got to hope that drifts a bit on the old machine.
So briefly then, chat, sort of any bets that you sort of might be interested in on Tuesday? Myself is Coward of the County in the Coventry. Current price is Bellocchio if it drifts to 5+ on the machine in the last. That's my two. John?
I wouldn't encourage anybody to follow any of my selections tomorrow. I'm not particularly strong on any of them. I think Bellocchio's a reasonable good thing with £10 of its slave, but I think he's short enough.
Yeah, I agree. Andy?
I shall obviously back Bellocchio if it gets to the price that we wanted, and I will probably, because you never go daft following Mr. Mullins, have probably a couple of doubles with the one in the Mullins horse in the 505 with Zanderbad if I can get the price, and hopefully it'll run onto Bellocchio. But that'll be probably about the strongest way I'd play tomorrow. The rest is all small stakes, fiddling around stuff, but nothing I would feel strongly recommending.
Good stuff. On to Wednesday then, for the opener is the Queen Mary over the minimum trip, of course, for 2-year-old fillies. Make Haste heads the market at the moment. That's around the 5-1 mark. Oh, you can get 6s in a place, I believe. Make Haste showed a brilliant turn of foot to win on debut, a striking turn of foot actually, but not sure what these have all beaten. It's quite difficult to ascertain the level of form of any of them. I found this rather difficult myself to pin down anything. Although I did like the mannerism of the Yogurt Cannon's Zante on debut, how it comfortably held off the Amo horse in the race. I feel that's much more to come. You'll get a lot of horses improving from first to second starts. So, do you know what? I want to listen to Jonas Lang to see what he's got paddock-wise here in terms of progression, if he likes anything. John?
Funnily enough, I didn't mark down Zante. I put down really nice debut, Queen Mary filly.
All right
then. I believe Seraphim Angel might not run. I quite liked that one at Chester from a physical point of view. The other ones, that would be about it really. I was more steering towards the Albany for types I liked, in all honesty. I was going to play basically on where I thought the pace was, and I thought there was a lot of pace low in this. I did feel that could lead to a bit of a pace collapse low, believe it or not. And I thought it might be run to suit Enchanting Empress up the stand side as a result of that. I think the ones stand side that are just chasing the pace might still go too fast. And I was looking at that third wave of horses, and I thought Enchanting Empress might be the best equipped to take advantage of that.
Okay,
but again, I wouldn't be dancing to have a bet, really.
No. Andy?
No, I'm almost in Nick Davis territory here, and it's just not my. I'll just give you a couple of stats because I know people quite like these. Do you know Aidan O'Brien's never won this race?
Never.
No.
I'm not surprised.
No. He's never won this race.
I do not got that in a quiz. Yes or no answer.
So he's got, what's he got in here? Is it Truly Enchanting's in here? So that's at the top of him. He's never won this race. Just to go back to John's point about the pace, at the stage we've got 26 in here. It's usually won by something drawn high on the stand side. There's only been one. There was one winner from stall one. Was it Campanale? The one that from stall one.
The Wesley Ward. Yeah.
Yeah, the bingo horse. Yeah.
Bingo,
yeah. The old banana splits is there. But that's the only one. Mostly it's been, you want to be in double figures. But yeah, Aidan O'Brien, he's never won it. And the northern trained horses have actually fared pretty well in this. They've had 6 winners this century. So and the sort of guide to the race has been the Marygator, the Dante meeting. That's been the best pointer. If that helps.
Would you believe that the Marygate? I'd never have said that.
Yeah, if that helps out, then you're welcome. But it will be a race. I'm probably I'm not sure whether I'll be getting a gin and pate out, but it might be a cup of tea and a bourbon biscuit for me.
Wednesday's a drink day, so we're back.
Is it? No.
We're back on Wednesday, yeah, with a gin and
okay.
pate time. Yeah.
You'll be all right.
Day off tomorrow. Move on to the Queen's Vase. Illinois, the best form in the race, of course, with the second in the Lingfield Derby trial to Ambient Friendly. If Ambient Friendly was running in this race, it would probably... Well, no, actually, it wouldn't be 4 to 7 because it wouldn't get home. But if it was a 1.5 mile race, Ambient Friendly would be probably very, very short. So what do we think here, chaps? John, I'm coming to you first.
I've actually put a bet up already for this, and that's Mina Rashid, Andrew Baldinar's, that beat Ephesus at Chester, which was its first chance to shine at anything like a suitable trip. The horse was badly in need of debut last autumn at Nottingham. Caught my eye as a potential staying type then. Then he was really well backed. Kingscote had him doing so much, he was out of his comfort zone from the get-go. And that race was a write-off. And then they brought him back at the Chester Spring meeting. First chance over this sort of trip. I think he's hit about 93 myself there, with potential to go much higher. I think that will do as a starting point for this season. I love the way he goes about things. I think he's one of about 4 in here that's certain to stay. More crucially, I think his graph's on an upward curve.
He related to Deirdre Rashid.
You would hope so, wouldn't you? Free the Weatherfield one.
Free the Weatherfield one, yeah.
Yeah, that's upset. John, massive price this. 20s and 22s. This is sounds like your first bet at meeting.
It is, yeah.
It is. He's put it up.
I know John did a anti-purse sort of bet to his best for Ascot this week. Again, get subscribing if you haven't.
Really, just heard me working through my fucking tracker with 86 horses.
Right, Andy, anything to add? Because I've got no opinion on this race.
Right, okay. So since 2017, they altered the trip, didn't they? Down from 2 miles to 1.6. So the draw actually plays. I know it's not a massive field. It's about the normal sort of field for this, but I wouldn't want to be drawn too wide. Those drawn out wide. Unfortunately, Mina Rashid is drawn in the widest lot of all, so that might be a slight problem, or it is. I hope it is not for John, but it has tended to be. Gregory, who was the class animal last year, overcame that, so there is hope. I mean, Aidan O'Brien's been the one to follow, isn't he? And how many times he won this? God knows. 7 times since 2007. So I wanted to be with one of his. I quite like this Highbury. I thought there was a decent run last time out. There's plenty of stamina there. I think he's quite a nice horse. This
form's worked out, yeah.
Yeah, and the form's worked out really well. And to be honest with you, I mean, mostly the winner of this is, I mean, if you follow the market in this, 26 of the last 29 winners have started in the first 4 in the betting. I wouldn't want to, whilst I fully respect John's opinion for Mina Rashid, and I will be having a few shekels on it. I'm a little bit worried about the draw and the position in the market, but I will follow him with interest. But if I am to have a bet in this, and I probably will, I wanted to be with at least one of the Aidan O'Brien horses, and I thought Highbury was the nicest of them at the prices.
345. This would be a Davis no race. Duke of Cambridge Stakes for fillies and mares. Laurel heads the market.
Lee, before we go on, does everybody know, and I'm not sure that everybody does, because it hasn't been, that they've switched this year. This is now on the round, the old mile, where it used to be run on the straight course. And they've switched it with the Kensington Palace, the fillies handicap, which used to be on the round mile and is now on the straight mile. And I'm not so sure that's that well known.
What absolute disgraces. I agree. Right, if you look on Racing Post website, when you're looking at the race, it doesn't tell you at the top of the round or straight. It doesn't tell you.
No.
Producer says it does. Where? They've changed it. They've added it in.
See, I must have told them.
Disgraceful. When I was studying today, it didn't tell you. And I swear on the producer's lie. So Breege is trap 13. One that I liked was Running Lion, trap 11. Sadly for Running Lion, who had luckless run at Epsom, didn't really handle it. I didn't think on the drop back to a mile. I think Running Lion's got more in her. But John, I've got a feeling you like Rogue Millennium.
Yeah, it's got a good sit here behind the pace on the inside, and I think that's going to be crucial, to be honest, because I don't think they're going to go mad. And then I think it's a matter of Dilbert extricating himself in the straight.
Dilbert Brown McMonagle.
Yeah, the way I happen to think he's having the worst season imaginable for a top stable jockey.
Trainer.
Well, I am sick of noting down this year that he's on the pace when the pace is too strong, he's off the pace in a crawl, and it seems to be happening every day. I put some of the trainers' lack of return firmly at the feet of the stable jockey. But I don't think there's possibly two players here. I think they're both Irish. There's that one and Ocean Jewel, where I think it's also a fairly tough sod who could be suited to this.
But again, drawn wide, they're going to have to use up her petrol early to get across. Because she goes forward.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue Benolium's the one, but I wouldn't want to see Ocean Jewel win with nothing on.
Fair play. Like what Andy says, if you do that straight course, I'd have been a running Lion fan, but not with that draw. So again, it's another race I have to sit out. Right, we come on to the big one, the Prince of Wales, of course.
Highlight of the week.
Yes, Auguste Rodin. Is it a yay or a nay? The horse will tell you, because he either does a yay or a nay. The one thing I'll point out is, for Auguste Rodin fans out there, his best three performance, in my view, on time-based, very quick ground, not the advertised ground, come obviously Santa Anita, the Irish Champion, which was given as good it was actually riding firm, and the Irish Derby, which some people crabbed him, but he basically, it wasn't run to suit that at all, and he got a big sexual upgrade that day. So the three most notable performances came on really, really quick ground. So will Ascot give him that? We don't know what's going to happen, do we, by Wednesday? We don't know what these clerks do. They might put 8 mil on tomorrow night and panic.
It's going to be what, isn't it, no matter what.
So look, Auguste Rodin, is it fast ground or does he just bomb out, John?
Well, on all the evidence we've got at the minute, he doesn't like Ascot.
Fair enough, yeah. How many runs has he had?
A massive one. You know, I mean, he was turning into the straight when they were unsettling the winner.
I know, but again, ground. That could be ground.
They haven't dug it up and relayed it, have they? It's the same stuff.
So it's a difficult one, this, because Inspiral has broken all bloggers' fans' hearts by turning up here with the answer. Yay!
Is she winning to Neil?
The Sockless Wonders are indeed in absolute turmoil here over their anti-post bets for the Queen Anne, and sadly Inspiral turns out here.
Skidmark's not going to win with her from out there, is he?
Tough old trap, that, isn't it? For a dropout filly, you can't go forwards with her, so he's going to have to just drop right in, take her across. Sound like Terry Tibbs there off Face Checker. Paddling pull, sell it to me. So Auguste Rodin would be a very dodgy proposition, but they got Inspiral drawn wide. Horizon Door probably isn't proper this sort of standard. The same with Blue Rose Sen. Alflela could have ran in the Wolferton under no penalty, and they decided not to. And I thought,
take the hint.
Oh, right, okay. Right, John, so I'll come to you then. Go on, give it to me.
There was a lot of criticism for Jim when this ran in Ireland last, wasn't it?
India.
And there was a school of thought that said, ridden more positively, this could have beaten Auguste Rodin that day. He's a course winner. He goes well fresh. He's not running in the Wolferton. And he's lightly raced, so he's still open to improvement at 5-year-old. My only slight quibble is he's a Dark Angel, and I tend to think they don't go on, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt at the price, because I think this is a little bit thinner than it looks.
Okay, 12-1. Nice. Like it. So that's John's case for Alflela. Andy?
Thinking so far, I'm thinking at the prices and for the market at the moment, I'd probably be tempted to lay the front two. Yeah. Because I can make a case at the prices I can make a case of both the French horses. I know they might not be, you could say Horizon Door might not be up to this grade, but if the horse we identified in the Queen Anne about half an hour ago runs a decent race, it gives a clear pointer to Horizon Door and Blue Rose Sen, who I think is overpriced, to be honest with you. The ground she handles any sort of types of ground. She should appreciate a decent gallop here. I think she can improve a little bit as well. I just think I think she's overpriced. So you could
Do
either
you think the market's overreacted to the trainer downgrade, Andy?
possibly. I was talking to a very good friend of mine who knows French form racing much better than I do. We did agree it was a trainer downgrade. It obviously is, but they might have done. I didn't think he came when he was interviewed with Big Rock. It didn't make an awful lot of sense, but it might do. I mean, would you say the front two? I mean, you could probably lay the front two 4 to 6.
You can get sort of 13-8 the field, if you live.
Yeah. So I think at those, I'd rather be 13 to 8 the field than I would be 4 to 6, 8 to 13 the front two, because I think there's Auguste Rodin is deal or no deal, isn't it? And Inspiral, it's just never a filly I've actually warmed to. So could end up with egg on face, but I think it's a relatively cheap play.
Fair shout there, Andy. I'm probably in agreement with that as we move on. Right, so we go to the last 3 races on the card. The 505 is the Hunt Cup. This is one of my bets where I agree with Davis again. He's quite shrewd on these races. That's all he follows, really. Bestani at 12 to 1, Real Gain at 12 to 1, both for the Wafnan. That's where I'm covering it, because I get one drawn low in stall 9 and I get 29 for Real Gain. It's great when you do that at Ascot, because it can play out like that, like far side, stand side. That's a great play, I think. 12 to 1 each of two, them two. That's one of my plays of the 2 days. I'm really happy with that. So what's that? 11 to 2 the pair. Yes, I'll have that. I'm kind of into that. So Bestani and Real Gain for me. Nothing not to like about those two. The case made by Nick Davis, of course. On Patreon. John.
Obviously, when they play the Davis horses, there's no good having a dog and barking yourself, is there?
He follows this race like Patrick Moore following Saturn.
Exactly. In addition to that, I will also chuck a couple of shekels at Blue for You, David O'Meara, so I think we'll get a good sit in the race and come through late.
Good stuff. In a very competitive heat. Andy?
Obviously, I'm going to have a few shekels on Fantastic Fox so I can plug my column, the Beating the Bias column. Because I thought he ran pretty well last time out, and stall 30 could be steaming up the old stands rail.
That could be immense.
Something I think he's probably going to be sort of 50 or something like that. But if he doesn't, if he went off and won this, and I didn't have anything on, and as I put in the column this morning, I always sort of follow them for 3 runs and in the right circumstances, and you couldn't say this isn't the right circumstance. Of the others that I like, would probably sort of be worth dutching. Wild Tiger, certainly on the short list. Streets of Gold, I thought was quite interesting. I'm not mad about the draw or the rider, but the quicker the ground, the better. He's probably a bit too old on the stats, really, but Coeur d'Or go and take a look at his run last time out in Ireland. For a man who could train anything from a 5 furlong sprinter to a 3-mile chaser, Dermot World, genius, and he would certainly be on my short list from stall 22 with Chris Hayes on board.
Thank you very much. I'm going to look at Coeur d'Or now.
He's an 8-year-old, so it doesn't quite fit in it's improving 4-year-olds and possibly a 5-year-old you generally want for this, but trained by a genius.
Kensington Palace Filly Stakes comes up the 1740, the second last race of our podcast.
Mile.
Straight mile. Let's get it right. The straight mile. And this is it now. This is my bet of the 2 days, really. Very strong on this. Doha, the Rafe Ralph filly. She's obviously a daughter of Trev. And I think what they've done is they've got this completely wrong with the trip. They went to Haddock in deep ground last time over the 10. They better off the boards. They thought, can't get beat off this mark, blah, blah, blah. And she got tired late on over the 10 in the soft there. I don't think she needs soft at all. I think she was uber impressive at Windsor, winning by 9 wickets for a maiden win. When you look at that performance, it was stunning. And you just think, Jesus, there's so much more to come. And the fact that she's off 85 still. This is a handicap blot. Back at the mile, they do what they want with it and go forward. They can just sit her in. I'm not bothered either rider. She'll just win. I think she'll just power clear. Doha, 10-1, ridiculous bet for the Kensington Palace Stakes. That's my very confident selection of the 2 days. Chaps, John.
I'm rocking along with that because I've had that in mind since you mentioned it about the trip. And I'm also going to have a small bet on Fato Shy, who George Margison has brought along very, very steadily this year. I think with a view to this race.
Do you know what George Margison loves doing?
Winning here.
Yeah, and windmilling like at 50s and saying, I told you, sir. You know?
Yeah.
He's not been very well, has he?
Hasn't
Has
he?
he not?
Oh, bless him.
I know he hasn't been very well, George Margson, but he's on his road to recovery. So this, if he did win, would make him feel a hell of a lot better, I'm sure.
Yeah, dreadful stuff. Andy, have you got anything here?
Jamie Spencer, straight course, Ascot. Seemed to good now. Long straight courses, Jamie Spencer, even when he's riding for Simcock, absolutely perfect. This one isn't for Simcock, but he's got a very, very good record on those sorts of tracks. Go and look at his record at Doncaster. Go and look at his record here on the straight track.
Yeah.
Elim for the Bethels. It's stepping up in grade a bit, but she was really nice, a nice horse last year. The run back at Redcar last time out of John's Local was pretty eye-catching. She's stepping up in grade.
Well, funnily enough, that's worked out because the winner's won at York since.
Yeah, it has. And the second one next time out, winner was Ron O, if I'm right, remembering that.
I like the prep, yeah.
That form is working out. 13's not a great, but if I trust Jamie anywhere, it's on the straight course at Ascot. If they go a millionaire, I could see him picking up the pieces. So
you've convinced me not to lose on that.
This is, remember, it's a straight mile. This is the fourth run in this race. We've had winners at 12-1, 40-1 and 25-1. So you might want to stick in John's far too shy as well.
Isn't this the first year on the straight track for this one?
It is, yeah. That's the one they switched, John, which was not really that well known, and they've switched it with the Duke of Cambridge, whereas that used to be run on the straight. This used to be run on the round. Now they've switched them over. This is the first time they've run it on the straight mile.
Good stuff. We like that race. Between us, we like that race. So obviously Doha and Elim are our strong selections. 6:15 is the Windsor Castle. A listed affair to finish the show briefly here because we could go through all the runners and blah, blah. This is another one of my great bets over the 2 days. And it is a Yankee horse, but it's not Bingo.
It's not Bingo.
No, it's the other one. It's trained by Jose Jalapeno or somebody. This horse, I watched at Gulfstream. This was incredible. It sort of half missed the kick. It got to 46 miles an hour down the back straight. 46, let that sink in, right? So gets to the bend. They're doing 39 round the bend. So it rails like I know this is a different track. I know. So before you get to it, but he didn't have to do that. The only reason why they do it, because like Americans are a bit thick, aren't they? If something takes them on, they go faster. That's what they do. Lead, So something takes you on, you just go even faster. And that's what happened. It were a pace war. The other one dropped out at back at telly. And this one kept going still to win. Gabaldon is the name of the horse. 14-1. This has got absolute pace beyond belief. If anything keeps up with that, right, and as long as the Clark don't shove, again, judge it on the day. You don't have to go in now, but again, 14-1. Nothing keeps up with this. Nothing's doing 46. Like, Jesus Christ. This has got gears like you won't believe. The problem is obviously the stiff 5. I'm not saying it sees it out, but you'd like to think if it doesn't have to do 46 or 45 early, and it can do 41 and 40, that would do rather nicely. And I think this horse, you just might see a bombshell performance, and at 14-1, that's just crack. So yeah, I'm with the Yanks on this one. That's one of my bets over the 2 days that I really
Did you know the horse only cost $9,000?
Incredible purchase. Incredible. Yeah. Because what it did at Gulfstream was just, you looked at the pace, it was like, how 46? They don't do that in a Nunthorpe. It's like, it's astonishing. I know it's quicker ground, but Jesus Christ, this horse is
apparently
quick.
Apparently the performance was on board with what Crimson Advocate ran when winning the Fillies Queen Mary last year.
Honestly, this is so underrated.
Interesting horse.
Look, it's one of them. It's a stiff 5 is Ascot, so you're not guaranteed to see it out. But track 26, you might have a lot of fun for your bucks here. This might just bolt out, get on the rail, go 6 clear at the 2 pole, and it's like
Back to late time, dobbing
yeah,
time.
can we hang on? I can't see anything having the speed of this. It's phenomenal. John.
Well, you got to just have a poke at that, haven't you, and get out about 3 to 1.
It's phenomenally fast.
Have you ever heard of the rider?
Not really. I don't really follow American racing that closely. I used to, but no.
I think it's a taco recipe, isn't it?
I know for a fact the trainer's 19% over there over time, so he knows what he's doing. And it'd be nice for Bingo to take one over in the same race and him get one over Bingo. John,
he's our favourite, isn't he, Bingo?
Andy, so your view here to finish the show?
Not a particularly good finish, is it? Because I'm just going to give it the old Nick Davis here, aren't I?
Yeah.
Not really my sort of race. So give you a few little stats if you like your stats and stuff like that. 14 of the last 15 winners finished in the first 4 last time out, so you probably want something there. Aiden's got a decent record in it. He's won it 3 of the last 9 years. Bingo's won it twice in the last 15. We've only had 3 favourites since 2011, and that's about all I can add. There's been winners of some short price stuff, and we've had 100 to 1 winner as well. So, have you noticed one thing though? The draw as well: 25-6-1, 22-24, 20-19-2-1. Maybe low or high, Andy. It looks to be could be near the rails or something like that. It's not a race I would have a strong opinion on, but you're quite right. Drawn very high or very low. The trainers have been to follow have been O'Brien, Bingo, Jack Shannon. The Shannon Yard's actually done all quite racing, but say don't be put off by big prices. And Hannon has got the Yogurt Cannon's got a poor record in it, but I'm intrigued by your American form.
Gabaldon is the way.
Might just be one to back. Stick a few lays in.
To sum up, best bets for Wednesday, for me, it's Real Game Bestani Hunt Cup. Doha is the nap over the 2 days on the Wednesday, and Gabaldon to finish for me. John?
Mina Rashid.
Yeah, Mina Rashid in the
Queen's Vase.
Yeah, Andy?
Ones I like: Highbury in the Queen's Vase, Ocean Jewel in the Duke of Cambridge, which is obviously run on the round mile. I do quite like that one. Probably take on the front 2 in the Prince of Wales, Royal Hunt Cup. I do quite like this Coeur d'Or, and I shall be backing Mr. Spencer on Elim. But the best of that lot, Highbury and Coeur d'Or.
Good stuff. Lovely. We're back on Wednesday. Me, John, and Nick taking you through Thursday and Friday. That's all from us. Bye for now.